This podcast is called Adding Precious Time to a PD Victim. This is for the family. As you probably are aware that when I started the podcast, it was to develop my speech, keep my speech where I could speak with intent. I do participate in a program for that, and I hopefully have a director or state director on. We've been trying to schedule that, and mainly it's been my issue with being available, being in rehab. But that's one of the, or a couple of things that I wanted to do with this. The other has been in looking at Ryan Reynolds, the actor, who kind of talks about his dad and issues he had with not understanding Parkinson's, and the fact that he thought his dad had gone nuts.
Our story, which is diagnosed at a pretty young age.
Yeah,
My
your dad was 47?
47, yeah. And denial for a long time.
Yeah.
In fact, we didn't name it for a long time.
No. And my dad said Parkinson's, I think, 3 times
Yeah.
in his entire life. It's, to me.
Generational, and the kind of, my dad's from the Midwest. It's a little more, they didn't have therapists in the town where he lived.
No.
But the idea that it took years before we named it.
Yeah.
And there was always the neurological thing, like that has a neural, and then finally my sister and I were like, is the neurological thing Parkinson's disease?
Yes.
The Michael J. Fox?
Yeah.
And they go, well, yes, it is. So that was kind of your experience as well?
Absolutely. But I can also see why neurological condition might sound a little bit less threatening or vulnerable than Parkinson's disease. You hear disease, you go, oh. It was my experience exactly, to a T. Like you and I and your pop, I mean, that's the exact same roadmap. And I understand it, I get it. My dad was like a prideful kind of guy who I think his physical strength was was a huge asset to him. He didn't go to college, he didn't do that, all those things that he wanted for us to do. And did I let him down there. But he was very prideful, and I think that is very common in that age group and those folks who grew up in that era. And it's interesting to see how now we. Having kids at our age and it's just so different. There's so many tools available to us. There's so many resources available to, my kids never believe it, but when Blake and I will go out for dinner or something like that, the entire time is spent talking about how could we be better parents? How can we address their needs in ways? It's just I can't even imagine my parents having those conversations without, just going, oh God, this feels like chemotherapy. The cancer's gone. Let's enjoy dinner and let's just live in here forever.
It's so true. We go to these restaurants.
Because of some of the way he acted, it wasn't necessarily the motor issues that Michael J. Fox has. And then George Ackerman, Dr. George Ackerman, he's written a book and he talks about care, particularly since his mother had passed a few years ago, and he regrets the time he wasn't able to spend with her, and still regrets it today, her availability because of it being taken away early, Parkinson's. Well, the one thing I want to do is kind of speak from the viewpoint of maybe George's mother and maybe Ryan Reynolds' father, is that there's a lot of things that can be done, and I'm trying to show that with some of my podcasts and videos and things that I'm doing, but it does take the cooperation of the family. There's a tendency to be condescending or have a different attitude toward a person with disabilities and Parkinson's, and we have a daughter that has oral facial digital syndrome, and we can relate to that in the sense that she's had kidney transplant, knees replaced, but she's also been not accepted a lot of times in the workforce because she has some of the visual aspects of a person with Down syndrome, which is nothing wrong with that. But when you, it's kind of a dumbing down the abilities of what she can do, and she hasn't had the opportunity sometimes for his job, so she's suffering right now from cancer and the treatment of that, but she's doing quite well. She's doing much better today. She had been doing, and of course Cindy's had ovarian cancer, so those are the things to keep in mind as you kind of look through this video and the purpose of the video, and you're going to see a lot of tidbits here about different things that have to do with senior living, and some of that's kind of funny in a way, the commonality of, you know, whether it's a nice place or not so nice, in the sense that you could go from rehab or go from nursing home to senior living, and people are still going to complain about some of the same subjects, whether it's food, how hot or cold it is in a room, and just things that they might talk about their children and visits, and they rarely see them, so you kind of get the same old, but I thought I'd want to bring that in as at least part of this conversation. Thanks. I thought I'd give a little report on going to the first wound clinic appointment since I'm coming out of the summit here. Of course, being the first time and getting registered, and of course a lot of the speed in which we were registered, there was some confusion on getting a schedule together. I was helped out a lot by a maintenance guy that I had met that came to my studio apartment here, and also had driven a bus when we went over to the Noggin seminar clinic. I guess it's a year-long study presented by Alzheimer's, so I knew he drove the bus, but I had I guess either a mistake or foul up, but I'm sure it's just because getting into the system, I wasn't totally recognized whenever I had called about a scheduled meeting on Wednesday with the wound clinic. And so when I went down and it didn't arrive, then my backup plan was to call Scott in maintenance, and lo and behold, he got the bus out and made a trip down here, and took me down and picked me up. Not a great deal of distance, but it's still, I use this light electric wheelchair so that they could be loaded into an SUV or something, but he insisted on taking a transportation where you could load the equipment in, you know, me in too, without having to get in and out of anything. And so I just wanted to say that it was kind of service above and beyond, but I've kind of expected that since moving in here. We've been getting transport together. Looks like I'm having a bus come pick me up, put me over to the wound clinic. So, at least we're in business now. update, at least on the front end, of new things that I'm experiencing, being out of a rehab or nursing home, basically, to being more independent again. Well, I think every time I start anything, I always start with the word well, but maybe that's just a habit. I'm now at the summit, and been here a day or so, and I have a patio here, and I turn the air conditioner off, and in the morning hours here on August the 13th, day after my son's birthday, I'm sitting here with the door open, at least for a little while, and doing a rehash of getting over here. I've been in a rehab center either at Sherwood, north of Little Rock, part of St. Vincent's, or down closer to the villas of Chenal, which is not too far from here, and that's close to where I have moved to from Harrison. It's called Villas of Chenal. My wife and daughter are over there, and the reason we've kind of kept this a little bit separated at this point is that I think there's a question about disruption there. I think that you're going to find that I'm doing very well in what would be considered assisted or maybe even independent living here, and I can show you around after a while. But just want to make it clear that I can do many things on my own. I've traveled all over the world, and I know that this is a different time and different age, but I can manage a lot of things. There is an advantage here of having food prepared. It's not just the processed food that you find in a nursing home, but it's actually prepared, and it's a small menu, but that way you can get what you want and basically when you want it. So that's worked out well. I got the trash out. You had to double bag it and put it outside your door. So I got that out this morning, and we did a washer dryer yesterday. Christy came over. I was hoping that she would just we could sit there and do the whole 9 yards, because she does a lot of washing drying, and she's feeling a lot better now. But Sandy was along, and Sandy said, let's get the guy that knows how to do this. And so he came down and he pushed one button to wash them, and then we took it out and put it in the dryer and pushed another button to dry them. I grew up in a service station and TV and appliance business, so kind of know a little bit about appliances, but it was a simple process, and I just wanted to kind of get Christy involved a little bit in that, since she had an understanding of the newer washers that we've recently got, at least the last year or so, before we moved down here from Harrison. So we did that, but other than that, I think it's been a smooth move. I did go yesterday out to an event. I thought the event was a good event. I'm going to see if I can put the book in front of you, but it's just through CareLink, and they have a program. It's kind of like what I found with Speak with Intent. Here's the $12 workbook, and then you can see CareLink down at the bottom.
The same regions of the brain as doing it.
My bag is
So we can save money.
So pack those bags and dream. Okay, so that's why mental preparation and visualizations are so effective for athletes. Just by thinking about this trip to Tanunuk, You activated your mind. You can undertake your own course of brain exercise by simply making a conscious effort to engage in mental stimulating activities. Surfing the internet could be stimulating. If you don't know how to use a computer, learning how is a brain challenge for many. Brain fitness classes like this can be added as part of maybe social interactions. And classes like this have been linked to improving cognitive health. So as we come to the end of the class, I'm going to ask if we've met our 2 objectives. The first one was to understand what brain fitness is. The second was to identify lifestyle choices that can help you stay sharp. So could you do that?
Mm-hmm.
We hope you'll take this message of optimism about improving your health and use it to stay active physically. So we want to thank you for participating in the first or initial lecture in class in Super Noggin. Okay? Now, who wants to know where Tanoonik is?
We all do.
It's a small Eskimo village on Nelson Island off the southwest coast of Alaska. Separated from the mainland by a river, it stretches along the shores of the Bering Sea. At the time of this writing, there were approximately 325 people living there. There are no roads in or out. The only way to reach them is by a small airplane. The weekly mail plane lands on a gravel strip, delivering mail and passengers. There's no hotel, no restaurant, no hospital. The only store is one small general store that people can get some food, but primarily they hunt, fish, and gather wild berries and plants to survive. A village school is run by the Alaskan government, and one Catholic church provides preschool education. The houses are small frame houses sheathed in plywood. Igloos, the domed ice houses many people associate with Eskimos, were never used by dwellings of people in Alaska. Central Canadian Eskimos built igloos as winter houses, but in Alaska, ice shelters were built for temporary protection during winter travel. So, there's your first lecture on the Super Noggin program. Now, I would like to go off script and say, for each of our lectures that offer, you should have this, right? The summary. Okay. For each of our lectures, weekly lectures.
It's from Alzheimer's, Arkansas, and it's called Super Noggin. I don't know, you can check into it and see if anything local. But it's not, it's a fun event. I mean, you kind of play mind games and mind fitness, and it's not a pressure thing of trying to remember certain things, but you interact with people and you come up with solutions, so it's well worth it. People there, for the most part, are caregivers. I did identify myself as a person with Parkinson's, and they welcomed me into the group, so we had a very enjoyable time. And it was at the church building where I had done art with the group there from UMS, working with people with Parkinson's. So it wasn't unfamiliar territory, not too far from here. And I'll show you a clip or two of the bus that I went in. It's a little different than the van that I've been traveling out of to make appointments, but it was very suitable. The driver is good, and other people can ride on the bus, whereas you're pretty limited when you're in a van who might go along as guests. So you might keep that in mind too when you're in these situations, that there are good transportation options. And if you are in a wheelchair, I'd use my electric wheelchair, and I will continue to use that till we get some clearance on the wounds, and so that I can move up to the next stage and maybe even drive myself. I did meet a man this morning at the breakfast, and his name was Bill Hall. It's an easy name to remember. And he's from the Nashville area, and his wife that's here also. But he was there, and we sat at the table together and talked, and I found that he had been doing quite a bit of mission work in over in India, and we had some things to talk about since I'd been to India, and I always put up the Taj Mahal picture just because of everybody knows something about Taj Mahal, and we talked about that. In fact, he had been in the car business. In fact, he'd been a used car dealer for many years, and we had a little bit of a laugh out of that, of being a used car salesman. Now he's out doing mission work. This seemed to be something that you wouldn't put together, but he's been able to do that, and so a lot of things have been happening on that level. So you can see the energy level has kind of improved, I think, by making the move. But I know when you're in a rehab situation, it's kind of a different story. You're into being put into a lot of things but the rehab was a continuous loop that kept going in what you would consider circles, and it would be because of lab issues and other issues. I couldn't get some of the tests done, and finally got the right leg done, and a blockage moved there, so both legs are clear. They got a clean go. So by having both of those done, and then being able to move into a place where you can have good conversation and talk about professional things is a good move from a mental and other things. And it's kind of thing, I had an epiphany last night in the middle of the night, and I guess that's maybe from the super Noggin class or something. I was thinking about the thing about Sigmund Freud, and some of the things that he talks about is id and the ego and the superego, and I got to thinking about all the things that's been going on here lately. People would consider some of the things that's been brought up by Sigmund Freud and some of the battles that I've had, where I'm narcissistic or whether there's other issues that's out there in the past because of the Parkinson's that was developed, delusional Parkinson's, since I don't have the tremors, and I can sit here for a good little period of time. But in the lower body, I have trouble with balance, and I've had wounds that are very deep in both the heels, and I've been reluctant to show those pictures because it usually gets panned by YouTube. But you've probably seen it, or if you have, you probably don't want to see it again. But they're very deep, and they're starting to come together and heal. And I think some of that now is a mental thing and a mental adjustment. So stay with me. You'll have some interesting times. We'll try to be educational, entertaining, motivational, and maybe cut out some of your depression and anxiety. Thanks.
We've been getting transport together. Looks like I'm having the bus come pick me up. Put me over to the room thing. So, at least we're doing business now. What do you think?
Hello?
Well, the measurements are better.
Measurements are better.
New digs are better.
Yeah, we'll make it a progress on some of it.
How's your son, your wife, and your daughter?
Well, we're actually in a better mood now. I don't know if it's the fact I'm not there disrupting everything or not, but I'm in a better mood too, so maybe
That's good.
I mean, it's like, it's a place that you can go down and have a good meal and social conversation, and feel like you're going to be,
You said your wife liked it so much she might want to come.
well, you know, the meal thing got paid, and there are some game things that my daughter kind of likes, Rubik's Cube and things like that they do, and so we
What's the place called?
Summit.
And where is it?
Well, it's just right around the corner up there, down there from the other place here. It's just right, it's real close.
Close to where you live.
Yeah, I mean, I can get to either one pretty fast. I mean, it might be six or 8 tenths of a mile, the other one 1/10, so.
This is filling in. This is looking good.
Is it? Well, that's what we want to hear, but
So is this considered assisted living?
right now it's a studio independent living, but I'm doing great with it. I think my son is probably just finding what he could find faster to get over there, and then we're going to see in a little bit of time if we
But
need
they
it.
do have meals.
Yeah, they have meals. The meals are,
Independent living with meals. That means you have to do your own laundry.
yeah. Well,
You have a housekeeper.
I went over, I had my daughter come over because she liked to do laundry, and my wife said, well, somebody flooded something here, so let's get the guy that maintenance do it. He come in, all he did was, he put it in the washer and hit one button, and it finished, and put it over the dryer and you hit one button. I think I can handle that. I finished it all off, and
That's wrapped
but
up.
laundry to me right now doesn't mean a whole lot.
I had an OptiLock, but I don't know what that OptiLock was going to.
Did it drain much?
Well, that was the one there on the left. They said was having
It
a
was
little more
draining a little bit.
having more problems. But I don't know. We had two different people want to wrap it because I went to Pad the next day, and they doing it. And they got excited because everything looked good, because the blockage and everything was cleaned up, and then I think the people there at
Prisma, OptiLock, get you wrapped up.
I don't think they.
Now, do you have a bed that you can elevate?
Yeah,
Well, elevate that foot,
yeah.
both feet.
I think I can handle that. And then, so,
Lift up.
Gotcha.
I'll have to come back and catch that.
so the plan is here's the
Can you
wrap.
get it above the knee?
Can you do it above me? I don't know.
No, can you? That's it. There you go.
So the plan would be to come here every week.
I would like that plan.
Yeah, I like the plan too. But I just want to know,
Your plan.
I don't know that,
How's your transportation system?
well, they're a little spotty today because they've had a little difficulty getting me in the system in the sense that we came in so fast.
Let me put that up.
Oh, were you doing the links?
Well, Craig's kind of in charge of that, and he had this guy from the hotel, or not the hotel, from over there did it today, and he's got it's a bus that has a lift on it, and
Oh, good.
so he was real nice about it, and he's going to pick me up after it's over. But I brought my lightweight thing. If I had to put it into an SUV or something, I could have done it. That's
You do have a good one.
There's a 37-pounder here, and the other one's a bigger duty.
All right, there we go.
So,
And the wound's posterior, right? Go ahead and do the wound.
Everything's feeling even good.
so all that's been done pretty well. I think it'll be easier next time around because
I'll be in the system. I'll
Get
have
that above the knee. Your pen above the knee.
right.
Make my life easier.
Yeah, well.
There you go. You got it?
Yep.
All right, we can cut that.
That's the way the Cards took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs, is that right?
Yeah, I went and watched the one they lost.
Yeah. I saw they had 9 runs or something.
Oh, that was a miserable game. 89 degrees when it started. But, you know, I sat there and watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
Finally, in the 8th, I went and got some ice cream.
I was wondering about you, but
So I didn't stick to my diet.
yeah. Well,
You know, Mary Ann, the leader from the back there, is a Cub fan.
okay.
She grew up in Chicago outside the freeway loop. So, you know, technically she's on the south side, but not the real south side.
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
So I told her, you know, you're south of the middle of Chicago. Shouldn't you be a White Sox fan? She said no.
Yeah. A lot of good games against the Cubs.
Mm-hmm. Cut that, please. I'll finish off this other one.
So what do you do? What airline do you take to get there and get back?
Well, I was supposed to take Southwest
Yeah.
because it's direct. But my ticket is free if my sister's working. And if my sister is not working, like if she's on vacation or sick leave or anything, I can't travel.
Oh.
And she called me on Friday afternoon, an hour before I was to go to the airport, and said, I don't feel good. I'm going to come home for the weekend. So I guess I'm not going to St. Louis, but I got up and drove up there anyway and then
Do you
drove
put these
back.
stockings on?
You like the black ones?
You like the black ones?
Yeah, the black
Okay.
ones.
So I drove Saturday morning, watched the Saturday night game after dinner,
Yeah.
and then I stayed out at Frontenac, the Hilton, and then I came back on Sunday. Didn't watch the game at all until I got home, and it was rain delayed, and watched it on TV.
Okay. So
So
you,
they did have 2 games. I watched the 2 good ones on TV.
well, yeah. I don't know what the color choices are, but black's fine to me.
Yeah, it's fine with you.
Yeah. This yellow and white Model T car, the cars, that's what they went with the color, and it worked out fine. We've been getting transport together. Looks like I'm having the bus come pick me up. Put me over to the ruin clinic. So, at least we're in business now.
For those who felt I might be disruptive, you can see that I handled this trip all by myself, even with all the different changes that were made that I had to adjust for.